What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norn Radd89 here, bringing you another video. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about Hard Eyes. I know I'm a little bit late to this one on the party, but I did finally catch this fun Valentine's Day slasher. And today you're going to hear my positives, the negatives, the rating, and then I'm going to send you all home. So let's do this. Roll it. So Hard Eyes is the latest Valentine's Day slasher film that came out this year, and it's one that I was kind of looking forward to, like I said, because I'm just such a sucker for slashers, and we don't really get a ton of Valentine's Day horror, but I was a little bit late to the party on this one, wasn't able to get to the theaters, so I did VOD this one. This one follows it's directed by Josh Ruben, that's our director, and it follows a ad executive and her colleague, and they end up kind of going out on a date and end up getting targeted by Hard Eyes, which is a Valentine's Day slasher that goes around on Valentine's Day kind of or during that week, kind of just stalking and killing couples and stuff like that. So yes, this one, like I said, being a slasher, let's kind of lead into positives right away, is that I'm very keen for this subgenre. This is my favorite subgenre of horror, so anytime I get a slasher film, I'm going to get some kind of joy out of it. And the fact that we have Hard Eyes, which is a unique looking killer, they have a cool design. He has his own kind of weapons that are kind of tailored and designed for him, you know, specific to this movie and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool as well. Also, the Valentine's Day theme is very heavy and prominent throughout the entire film. So that's another thing that I appreciate too, is when you're a holiday horror film, like I'll consider a holiday horror film, like just to be a holiday horror film, you literally just have to say that it's the date of that holiday or a couple references to that holiday. That's it for me, for real. That will literally consider you a holiday film, but I want stronger themes. I want more atmosphere oozing out of the screen, and this film does that for me, where it has couples, you know what I mean? It's a Valentine's Day killer. It happens on the holiday. The killer has heart eyes designed for that stuff, and it is a rom-com, so that is another thing too, is when you go into this movie, expect comedy. And that's another thing that I think leans into the Valentine's Day couple theme thing, is like, you know, it's a romantic comedy, but it's also a horror film. So I think this film does a really good job having the Valentine's theme very prominent throughout the entire film in many different ways and aspects. The thing I like is the kills. The kills are interesting, they're impactful, and they happen, and they're unique and different, you know what I mean? I like when you're a slasher film, it doesn't have to be groundbreaking and change the mold or anything like that, but when there are different kills throughout the movie, they're all unique, they're shot differently, or some are practical, some have a little bit of CGI mixed in, it's okay. But like I said, I like it when there's variety. That's another way to describe it. There's a lot of variety of kills in this film, and I appreciate that, especially being a slasher fan. Another thing I gotta be honest about is I did laugh a couple times. This film being a romantic comedy, it did its job, where I was laughing for, I would say, probably 65% of the time, or 60% of the jokes did land for me, and I was cracking up. A lot of times it was between our lead actor and actress. I think they had a really good chemistry, and a lot of their banter and the lines they had to the Hard Eyes killer, and then between them two back and forth and stuff, I just thought that was really funny. It really did land for me. But there's also some other moments that's kind of lead more into the mixed and negatives when it comes to some of the dialogue, and some of the characters are a little bit cringy, you know what I mean? That doesn't hurt the film terribly, but like I said, about 65% of the time I was laughing, and then the rest of the time I was kind of like, ugh. So, you know, when you're a romantic comedy, you know, that's always going to be kind of the thing when you're balancing that thing. And also, like I said, a horror film, you got to get that fine balance, where I said I liked the killer, I like our slasher design and the kills, but the comedy didn't land every time. Another thing is that I think pacing wise, it does hit like kind of a low point in the middle, you know, like I liked the first like 15 minutes, and then we kind of hit this pacing moment in the middle where I'm like, it's kind of dragging a little bit. But then the third act, like right into the lead of the third act and the climax, it picks up a lot more. So, you know, it's just kind of a little bit of a pacing issue for me, which isn't awful. And then also predictability when it comes to the killers. There was one that I found very predictable, and it was basically because this character, like, spoiler alert, I know like this film is not too old, but just in case you want to see this film, click past like just to like 30 seconds or something like that. One of the killers, the male killer, I did pick that out basically because he was a character that was introduced for like about a minute and a half, and then he disappeared for the rest of the movie. that was kind of a hint. Okay, no more spoiler talking now. So yeah, just in case, like I said, if you wanted to, you skip that part and everything. But yeah, that was the predictability I was talking about. The other killer kind of came out of nowhere for me, but then there's also, like I said, the acting when it comes to specific actors. Sorry, I have the hiccups now. When it comes to specific actors, and that actors, like, and actresses and actors, like, they just didn't land for me with some of that stuff. So, you know, a bag of mixed and negatives, but in terms of being a slasher film, in terms of being a horror themed film, it does land very well. And like I said, it had a lot to offer for me in those areas. Another thing I want to say is probably maybe a mix and negative as a score. I think I didn't really listen to the score outside of the film, but while watching the movie, I didn't notice any real score music or a theme. You know what I mean? There was music in the film, but I'm talking about, like, you know, like a Friday the 13th, Harry Manfredini, John Carpenter's type theme, you know, like Stephen King's It, like some kind of theme score to the movie. And I feel like this one didn't have one, but I'd probably have to look it up and listen to it outside of the movie. So Hard Eyes in my book, let's talk about the Radd rating. This is going to be a very solid 8 out of 10. That's very simple. It's a solid 8 out of 10 film. You know, it's not a slasher film that's going to break the mold or push the bounds or, you know, totally change your view on slashers, but it does what it came to do. You know what I mean? It's a fun holiday slasher with some interesting characters and, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And it actually has some funny moments in it. So that's why it gets that 8 out of 10, because it did its job in pretty much like 75% of the areas like I wanted it to do. You know what I mean? There's just a little bit, like 25%, where it left me hanging, wanting a little bit more and stuff. But these are just my thoughts and my opinions on Hard Eyes. Please let me know down below in the comment section, what are your feelings on this film? Did you get a chance to go to the theaters and check this one out? And like I said, is this one of your favorites of the year so far? Or are you kind of not feeling this one? I would love to discuss with you down below, but please also like the video. That definitely helps out the channel. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and especially if you like the videos you see on the channel, share them. That greatly helps out the channel as well. And stay tuned, because we got Courage the Cowardly Dog deep dive stuff coming. We're going to be doing some Final Destination reviews, I think, because Bloodlines is coming out. I'm going to start tackling all the Final Destination films one by one, reviewing them, and then when Bloodlines comes out, rank them all and stuff like that. So that's what I'm planning kind of on the channel. And also Forgotten Final Girls. I do have another episode that I want to drop pretty soon, so stay tuned and everything. But most importantly, you all know what's up. Have a safe and happy day. Peace out.